Mr. Chairman, fellow speakers, this might seem to be a bit of a boring speech, but this is also another way not to be bored, is to talk about something which could be the key to another speech that I might have done, how never to be bored. So, speaking about climate change and the future is at the moment a topical and a serious subject, but it's not new. It is something that's been in the news and on the world stage for quite a few number of years already. It's just that for some reason we seem to be taking notice of it now. We did have our last COP meeting 5 years ago, and lots of promises were made and lots of declarations, but really, has anything happened? Has much changed? I don't think it has. So the future that conference saw has not really come to fruition in very many ways. All it did really was to elicit a lot of hot air and make people feel good that they were doing something. Or maybe it was just to go away for the weekend and have a bit of a jolly. I saw President Biden this week. He's come all the way from America and he seemed to be sleeping through the conference. So maybe he thought, yes, I can go away for a week and I can just turn off from my internal politics at home and I can put my mask on so nobody will be able to see whether I'm or I won't be able to snore very loudly, and I'll just close my eyes, which won't be seen because I have my mask up there, and keep my head up and nobody will really notice. He's actually probably walking around with a stick under the chin to stop him from nodding forward. So, if people aren't going to come to these conferences and world leaders in order to bring about change, you have to ask why they come. And maybe it's just one of those occasions where people think they ought to be seen. And it's quite interesting to note that some of the leaders of the world's largest polluters, the Russians and Chinese, and particularly I believe the Australians, aren't there. They might be represented, but they don't feel that it's a big enough or important enough conference to be there. Or perhaps they just don't want to fly there because of the way that they might be burning up and making carbon emissions. But they've sent envoys, so it's the same thing. They're still using the same amount of energy in order to get there. But I mean, they've had plenty of notice. They could have got on a boat, from Australia. I mean, they did in the old days, and that would have been a nice jolly for them as well. So, climate change in the future, you have to wonder if there is a future. Is the world going to change? And there are some people who actually believe that climate is not necessarily going to change. It's just one of these little peaks and troughs that the world has experienced ever since it became a planet, when it was born, evolved out of the Big Bang. So we're told that it is vital, and actually there is more to it than just the usual ups and downs of our planet evolving. So the next question you have to ask is, okay, well, what is the future? Is it 10 years' time? Is it 20 years' time? Or is it 50 years' time? Or is it in fact a generation? I think the Indians have said, yes, we'll do something by 2070. Okay? So that guy's going to be dead. All his parliament are going to be dead. Most of us will be dead. And we're just going to leave a future that is unknown and perhaps not very pleasant for our children and our grandchildren who come before us, and it's their future that we're talking about. So the future for us, perhaps is not going to change, because we can't bring about change that quickly. And people, politicians, leaders have put dates on the future, but some of those dates have been gone. 2020 was one that has been gone. So we have to really understand, and somebody has to define what you mean by the future. And all they're saying now is that this is a time to make a change. That I think was it Boris who said that the clock has stopped at 1 minute to midnight, implying that we don't have much more time to make a change that will really be effective. So we have to put a realistic time on what we're talking about when we talk about the future. And I think the other thing we have to really look at is, how are we going to bring about this change? Are we scaremongering at the moment? Are we trying to bring about change through fear? I read something this week that said the Essex coastline will be underwater by 2010, and a large amount of it underwater. So, do you believe that? I don't really believe that. So we have to sort out what is fact and what is scaremongering, and then make our decisions. But I think we do have to understand that the climate is warming up and that things are changing. But I would rather see change brought about through hope, positive hope for a future, rather than fear.
There we are, thank you, Sue. Thank you very much indeed. Coherent, well prepared, and very easy to listen to. Very, very good indeed. Just goes to show what people can do when you give them a surprise and 10 minutes to do it in. So, do we have a time? It must have been close. What was the time, David?
7 minutes and 18 seconds.
7 minutes, 18 seconds. Very good. Very good. Thank you for that. So, now, Mr. McGee, and the title of your speech?
I'm going to do the one, How Never to Be Bored.
Okay. And the time?
What was the time?